What is going on with the dollar? Why is the pound dropping off of a cliff? And everything in the markets seems to be going haywire. Well, in today's video, my goal is to give you some insight as to what is going on in the markets today. So let's jump into it. Hello friends, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Each day I cover the markets. I talk about things that are going on, news, trade setups, and I do some trading of my own and share it on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and without further ado, let's cover what's going on in today's market. The dollar is on a tear to the upside. Now, obviously, you can see I'm a little bit energetic today. I'm a little excited, and that is because I have been bullish on the dollar for a while, and we're really seeing some things come into fruition here. I have some good trades open currently that I'm going to talk about a little bit on this video here, but I wanted to cover the story. What's going on with the dollar? Why are things so bullish? And what can we expect going forward? Now, I've mentioned in the last several streams on my channel, I stream Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. US Eastern, by the way, and during those streams, I've been very bullish on the dollar, talking about how I think we very well could be seeing a new high set on the dollar. Now, I said that back around here. And I've been saying that for months, really. I've been very bullish on the dollar. Now, I'm not here to just pat myself on the back. I am not always correct, but I have been, really right about this dollar trade, and I'm really excited about it. And we're seeing some of the follow through that we've been seeing and talking about or foreshadowing here for months, which the main story seems to be the following. The Fed is working towards tapering. Now, the whole rumor right now is how soon are central banks going to hike rates? What is causing the tapering, right? Well, there's this big fear around inflation. Now, when you have lots of inflation, it causes the central banks of different economies to be like, oh, we don't want inflation. Inflation is a bad thing. So to react to that inflation, what they do is they cut their stimulus, they stop printing so much money, and they say, okay, well, as long as the economy is okay, we can step back on the stimulus and let things run their course, which is exactly what we're seeing and why we're seeing such a drive higher on the US dollar. Here's a look at the dollar here today, breaking through resistance and making its way up back to that 94.5 level that we saw barely touch back in October. So a month later or so, we're seeing the dollar return to former glory, and now the question is here. So we've broken through this level of resistance. Perhaps we could see something like this, but ultimately I do think that we are probably headed higher on the dollar. That is my opinion, and it has been my opinion, so we'll see. But I did end up taking some trades that, like I said, we're going to take a look at in a second. But the big thing here for me now is we are coming into a big decision point for the US dollar bulls. If you're watching the DXY, which by the way is a conglomerate of the US dollar against several different currencies, if you're looking at this thing and you're saying, okay, where do we go next? Well, to me, it's like if we can break through this level, which previously had a lot of resistance, right? Then I think the path opens up for brand new highs of the year, talking about stuff like this, where you break, you retest, and you continue higher. So with that said, let's look at some individual currency pairs to see if there's anything of interest here on the dollar trading setup side of things. So let me pull this up really quick. I'll show you the trade that I am currently in, and then we'll look at some others to see if there's anything there. So love the way that this thing played out. Here is the 4-hour chart of AUDUSD. And I ended up taking a trade here to the short side after the break of this trend line. So things were looking pretty good, right? The dollar was sort of going nowhere, back and forth, but the Australian dollar was rising in price quite substantially. So we saw this trend line to the upside, this channel up on the AUDUSD. Well, earlier on in the week, I saw that we had sort of broken that structure and that things were sort of starting to rotate back to the downside, seeing a little bit of a reversal, right? Well, after the breakout, I wanted to be a part of this. Like when I saw this price action right here, I was like, ooh, I think I'd like to be a seller, but I have to be patient enough to actually get the entry. And so sure enough, we Inside of the group, there's a couple of different traders who were also watching the Aussie dollar. Inside of the group, we basically said, hey, you know what, maybe a pullback. And so when that pullback did decide to set up, that 38.2% retracement and level of resistance here, that was my entry point to go short and to jump in on that dollar opportunity. So of course, what I mean by that is AUD USD, right? If I am bullish on the dollar, what that would mean is that, okay, well, if I like the idea of buying that dollar, then maybe AUD is a place to look to sell. And part of that reason, I'll pull this up just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So here is the trade that I shared. So I said, I took the trade based on what we mentioned, the breakout of that 4-hour trend line, that retest of past support now turned resistance, that 38.2% retracement, and then also that dollar bullish outlook that I've had for the last few weeks. So this was yesterday's trade, and sure enough, one day later, this thing is rocking to the downside. So a couple comments made by the Australian Central Bank's RBA governor, right? So things that sort of just lined up, and I figured, okay, I think that the most likely place for this is to the downside, and sure enough, we saw that play out. So floating some money on that trade. I do plan on trailing stops, so for those of you guys who are watching this today, I will be probably trailing that stop loss into profit further, so stay tuned if you're in the group. If you're not in the group and you would like to join, there's a link down below in the description. But let's continue on with the dollar concept. I also wanted to take a look at the pound dollar, which is probably today's biggest loser. Look at this massive drop, you guys. As the dollar gets strong, the pound gets incredibly weak here today, because not only that, check this out really quick. If we go to this page really quick, the Bank of England flags future rate hikes, and there was something here that really caught my eye that made me, okay, this is kind of skeptical for GBP bullishness for the time being. They basically said policymakers weighed concerns over rising prices against the downside risk, yada, yada, yada. They also made this upturn in UK unemployment following the end of furlough schemes. So that's kind of a couple different sort of hesitant sounding or dovish sounding statements from the Bank of England, plus that US dollar coming in really strong today. Those two things combined have the pound looking terrible today, right? Look at those red bars. I mean, those are solid, big selling, big money sells coming into the GBP USD currency pair. And so when we look at this, I think that the place of least resistance is naturally back to this low here at 1.345. Now, if you had asked me, yesterday, if you think that if the pound dollar is coming down to that level, I would have said absolutely not. That's a crazy move to happen in one day. But this is the currency market, and things happen that can be insane. So what's the trade setup on pound dollar? Where do we buy? Where do we sell? What's the move? Well, after all of this, and especially with all this dollar strength, I would say that a retest of resistance may be the place, in my opinion, that I would be interested in sells. So for example, maybe there's something here on the 4-hour chart. If we get our fibs going, maybe we draw this could be a 61.8, right? So depending on what happens here, if price comes all the way down, you still could look for a possible retest entry. So, I like the idea of going with the flow here. If this thing is selling off, I'm not going to jump in front of it. I'm not going to be buying this thing here. Although, maybe I look like a fool for not buying it in a week or so. But my idea is this: the dollar is really strong and has a really good fundamental catalyst. Tapering is coming. We see the dollar strengthening across the board. I think the dollar is going higher. That's my opinion. Please don't go make a decision just because I said that. Do your own due diligence, but that's my thought, right? And so going into this, now the pound is sort of showing weakness, and some dovish statements from the central bank there have me just saying, okay, I'm not super interested in going all in bullish on the pound. So maybe there's an opportunity to short. So we'll have to keep tabs to see how far this thing goes. Right now, it seems like it's in free fall season. So perhaps we see a bigger drop and we can find a sort of a bottoming point, but I will be looking for a retest of this level of resistance. And like I said, a fib is not really too good until you have sort of a confirmed bottom, which may look like, a couple green candles. Then we could sort of draw that fib to see if we get a level. That's something that I will be looking out for. Again, kind of hard to do when the market is still just dropping in front of our eyes, which is, like I said, it's been a crazy day in the currency market. So we will keep tabs on this one and a couple others. But again, that dollar across the board, US dollar, is just run into the upside. And I do think that maybe not right away, maybe we take some pause, we see some pullbacks, and there may be some entries, actually, some opportunities. But I do think in the long run that we do make that new high for the year before the end of the year. That is my opinion. Please, like I said, do your own homework and make your own trading decisions. But that's my thoughts. And I have been bullish on the dollar for a while, and it's been playing out nicely. So we will see. Another one to look at is EURUSD, which took a tumble here today as well, respecting that 50% retracement. So we had this big drop here, 50% came into play, and bam, dropped like a rock. The question here, if you're looking at EURUSD, is very similar. Are we going to make new yearly lows? This is the yearly low that we have not been able to break all year. If we're able to break underneath that, there may be sell setups for the next month, 2 months, 3 months. We'll have to see. But again, I like EURUSD to the short side. And I like most currencies to the short side against the dollar right now. Dollar is, in my view right now, the number one player. Now, one more thing that I should talk about here, because I know it's a common question, is gold. What's going on with gold? Why is gold so strong in the midst of this? Well, part of the whole rate hike thing and concern around global markets, right, is that is sort of a shutdown or a slowdown in economic activity. People sometimes flock to gold. So that could be a reasoning behind why we saw a drop in things like AUD and GBP, those sort of higher risk things, and a movement into things like USD, JPY, CHF. All those three are strong, but also gold, which does in some cases act as a safe haven investment. People flock to gold in times of fear, right? So that would kind of make sense that we're seeing a little bit of concern around market safety, market risk appetite, and that could be a driving price to gold. So perhaps we do see a bit more upside for gold. We do have some resistance points to overcome though. For me, I think that if we break 1810, that would be more seriously interesting. And right now I have no actual trades placed on gold or interest in taking a trade at this time. But if we were to see a big break to the upside, perhaps we see some momentum plays that could make sense somewhere around that 1810 mark. And then maybe we even see a run up to 1830, which was a barrier for most of 2021. So, or at least a lot of 2021, second half. So with that said, guys, that's going to be everything for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget about our Black Friday sale. If you want to see every trade that I take and join our community, you can join the chat room. You can see our webinars that we do each week, all that sort of good stuff. If that is of interest to you, then click the link down below in the description. Join us there. Use the promo code that's there. That's going to get you access for 40% off for this month's Black Friday sale. So join us, jump in on the action. Let's do it together. And I hope to see some of you guys inside. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching today's video. There are more videos available on our channel here and here. So go ahead and click into that for some more free trading content. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.